We are going to go now, though, to Nigeria. Prime Minister John Key says the government will not pay a ransom for a New Zealander kidnapped in Nigeria. The New Zealander, whom Nigerian media are naming as Jamal Khan, was abducted along with 3 Australians. We think Jamal is very much an expat Kiwi now living in Australia. New Zealander Bruce Klenner was an oil worker in Nigeria who was taken hostage at gunpoint in 2007. So, at the beginning anyway, a very similar experience. Mr. Klenner was working for the Lone Star Drilling Company on Shell oil exploration platforms in the Niger Delta when he and a colleague were kidnapped and held along with 3 colleagues for 7 days before their negotiated release. In other words, this was a ransom hostage situation that did end with a deal done. Earlier this afternoon, I asked him to describe what happened.
Well, we were taken by gunpoint, so to speak. They actually come up the river on boats, on speedboats they call them, and we had security there, and they had a bit of a firefight and like general purpose machine guns and things like that. And then they ended up actually we go into a lockdown position, and like we have big steel doors and everything like that, and it was my job to go around and bolt all those, secure them, and then we go into the inner accommodation, so to speak, and they actually used explosives to blow the doors off. Yeah. Then there was quite a bit of shooting and things going on, but
I can't believe you're laughing about this now, because at the time it must have been all kinds of terrifying, was it?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, it was. Well, like they were shooting through the door, and so we were sort of like on the floor in this the shower and the bedroom type area, and I guess I was just thinking, well, is this the last thing I'm going to see? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely unbelievable.
That's how it's going to end.
Yeah. The bizarre thing is, Bruce, and forgive me for putting this in financial terms, but actually your value to them was alive. So they were being pretty reckless, weren't they? Because if they were going to ransom you, they needed you in one piece, didn't they?
That's correct, yeah. But even when they took us outside, once they had us all under control, once they marched us outside, there was still fighting going on. There was still bullets and things going on. Yeah.
And this was a criminal gang. I mean, this was a business transaction for them, was it?
Yeah, this was MED, M-E-A-D. I can't remember their full affiliation at the time. It was MED. It was an organised Delta operation.
And so basically they kidnap people, ransom them off, and make money out of doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And from what also I understand, they were able to get their second in command out of prison as well.
Because the other alternative in this region, or they're in a different part of the country, is Boko Haram, and there are no circumstances in which you want to be anywhere near those guys, are there?
Oh, no way. No, you wouldn't want to be taken by them.
No. So how did you get out? Who negotiated in the end? Who does the work? How does that happen?
From what I understand, John, there was some English hostage negotiators involved, from what I understand, and they would have been dealing with possibly the company I was working for, and for the governor, most probably of the state, perhaps at the time. Yeah.
And what's happening to you guys while the negotiations are going on, which of course you wouldn't know about? You would have no way of understanding what was happening. Where are you held, and who are you held by?
We're still held by MED, and we were on a camp, so to speak. I know when we coming off the river, they actually had dugouts in the banks, on the river banks, so to speak, and they would have been about 4.5 feet deep, I suppose. These dugouts, and like a man would stand up, and then they'd just have a tin roof over top, and they'd have their guns. It was quite fortified area. It was a proper camp guerrilla camp, so to speak, I suppose you'd call it.
And how did they treat you when you were in this guerrilla camp?
Not too bad, like they didn't harm us as such, but there was a few scary moments there. There was one afternoon there where another outfit tried to come and get us.
What, a rival criminal gang after you for the same reasons?
I would say so, John. Yeah, that would come under. We had the commander, or the guy that was in charge of the guerrilla group, the head honcho. He was. We were just sitting in the shack type thing, and he was talking with us, and then he got quite serious with us, and we had to lay down on the floor, and he levelled his gun out at us, just not to say anything, move or do anything. It was pretty bit unnerving. And then you could hear all this other gunfire carrying on here.
Bruce, I can't even begin to imagine that. I mean, you're a long way from home. In fact, it's hard to be further from home. You are in the care of people who want to ransom you off, but really don't have terribly much to lose if they don't. It must have been horrific.
Yeah, it was pretty full on, John. Basically, I just set my mindset was I'm going to be here for 3 months at least. That was my mindset. That's what I tuned myself in for. I guess I just turned myself off, I suppose, to a certain degree. Yeah, it was. You never really slept properly. We just slept on the timber floor, basically. I think we might have had a real thin ass mattress for us, but that's about it.
And when they actually quite quickly, when the deal was done and you were released, how did that take place? Where were you dropped? Where were you taken to? How did you actually leave their captivity?
We were put on a boat again, because it's all rivers up there, and then we were taken to I think it was a Shell military complex, and from there we were helicoptered to the governor's mansion. Yeah, that was something else, I tell you. That's a whole completely another story. Then they wanted the security police were wanting to take us away individually, because we were in the kitchen, in this big kitchen. And I says, no, you're not going anywhere with anybody. We're all staying together. You can go jump in the bloody lake. Yeah. And they wanted to, did we know who they were or names and things like that? And I said, no. Didn't know no one. No names, no nothing. Because you don't know who's tied up with who, you see.
No. And so almost a decade on, that was 2007, so almost a decade on, it looks like some Kiwis and Aussies, well, one Kiwi anyway, expat Kiwi, and some Aussies are in the same predicament. What did you think when you heard that?
Bloody hell. I just hope he's with whoever he's been taken with, good people, level-headed, no heroes. You got to be pretty calm, I think. You got to accept the situation, and I was fortunate enough. The guys that I was taken with were all good people, good minds.
Right. So you don't want to antagonise the people. You've got to be calm and just keep your head down.